Okay. So for my thinking notes on page 208, it was an I wonder, and it was, I wonder why Mr. Shears disliked Christopher being with them so much in the apartment, you know, how he just had really bad reactions when Christopher was there. Why do you guys think that is?
Well, I personally think it's just because he's never dealt with that before, like Christopher's behavioral problem, and he's never had kids. He's only had Wellington, and that's about it.
I think you can go. I think it's like how Travis said, but also since he doesn't like Christopher's father, so like they might not get along because of their mom and dad didn't get along.
Yeah, I thought it was I just got a sense that maybe he didn't like children and he just liked it the way it was with those two, and now Christopher's just coming in and saying he's going to live there. And also I think it kind of reminded him of, you know, the old town with his wife and Christopher's dad and that whole situation. He just didn't want that. They kind of got away from that, and he just wanted it to stay that way.
Yeah, kind of. That's how I felt too, like going along with that. I think that he kind of suspected that exactly what happened would end up happening. Like, you know, she would go back to, what was it called? Like Swindon or something?
Yeah, Swindon.
Yeah, she would go back to there, and that's exactly what happened. So I think he was just, like, suspicious of it, and I don't know, a lot of reasons, you know, not good with mental illnesses and everything.
Right. I feel like he knew that just Christopher coming there, it wasn't just going to end at that. It was, of course, going to bring in the father and that whole situation, and it was all just going to come boiling back up.
Right.
Well, I mean, what would you feel like if you're divorced and whatnot, and then all of a sudden the kid from the other parent just ends up on your doorstep? How would you feel about that?
Yeah, I think that'd be really weird too, like, because he hadn't been returning any of the letters, and none of them, like, the mom and Mr. Shears had no idea what was going on, like, they didn't know why the letters weren't being returned. I think that they probably got, like, angry and, you know, suspected the worst, so he was probably still, like, bitter and had no idea why he was there, you know?
And that, like, Christopher and his mother had no relationship because they couldn't text, send letters back and forth.
Yeah.
So it would be very, like you've never seen them for, like, a long time.
Yeah,
and all of a sudden
like,
they come up.
Reconnecting and stuff. And then my second one was on page 215, and it was an I agree. And it was, do you think it is justified for Christopher to be mad or afraid at his father after this long? It was, you know, when they got back to Swindon with his mom, and he still was very afraid of his father. Do you think that's justified?
Well, it kind of is, I think, because first of all, he didn't trust him in the first place. And he hasn't seen him in a long time. He doesn't know how his father's going to react to him running away, and he just doesn't know how he's going to react to his mother. And just everything combined into one. It's just a lot of stress.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that for a normal person, it's not justified to be afraid of his father, because it's like his father took care of him for years when his mom was gone and never did anything bad.
Yeah.
And it was one thing, and he didn't actually, like, harm Christopher in any way. So for a normal person, I don't think that's justified, but for someone with, like, well, I shouldn't say normal, but, I mean, like, but for someone with a disability like Christopher, where he doesn't understand people very well, it's justified to me that then something that breaks trust like that could make him afraid of his father in the future.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then I think that, like, it is justified, but, like, it was so long that he probably should have been, like, less afraid of him than how, like, he was, like, not even talking to him and stuff. Like,
Yeah.
He could have just said, like, hi or waved or something rather than running away.
Yeah, I agreed with, like, him being afraid after that long, like, just understanding his disability, because I feel like that would be really frightening, like, because Christopher builds relationships so much on trust, and he completely broke it, like, everything he ever knew about his mom being dead and, you know, who killed the dog and everything, that I feel like that was just his worst fear. But I really liked at the end of the book how it didn't, like, completely mend their relationship, but it showed that they were like working back to being
Right.
normal again.
Right, I think it was realistic, because with something like that, and with someone with a disability like Christopher, who he has a hard time trusting, it's not just gonna be like, okay, it's fixed.
Yeah.
But I also, it wouldn't have been right, I don't think, to end the book with Christopher still just like completely ignoring his dad.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Like how they start up the relationship again with both his mom and his dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my thinking notes was on page 197, and I have it marked as important because that's when he pulls the Swiss Army knife on his dad. And it was kind of like Nat's, like, do you think that, like, he should have done that, or do you think, like, what do you think this shows about Christopher and how, like, afraid he is of his dad?
Yeah, I think that's interesting that he did. I kind of forgot about that he did that, but I think it's interesting because I think that helped to describe how scared he really was. Like, he wasn't just being difficult, you know what I mean? He was genuinely scared, so I think that part helped to show how scared he was, but I don't know. It's obviously for us, it's a little much. Like, I don't know, someone lies to you and you pull a knife on them, but I guess for him it works, you know?
Yeah, and I don't think that when he's pulling out the knife, he means to threaten people, because it's not like this is the first time he's done this. He's done this to people who, helped him, and it's not like, I don't think he really means anything of it. It's like just an in-case thing, he has it.
Right. I feel like it's more in his mind to protect himself than
Rather
it is
than
to
others.
hurt someone else, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's a threat.
I thought that it showed, like how he was really scared, and, like, he must have been really scared of his dad at that time because he only did that, like, usually when he saw strangers, like, even Mrs. Alexander, when she was, like, helping him, he still, like, pulled, like, was like, hey, I have a Swiss Army knife and stuff.
Yeah.
So then he must have thought, like, his dad was, like, my dad's just as strange as, like, everyone else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I have page 198 and 199, which is an I agree. And I like this part because this is when he was saying, like, special people like me, and he was having, like, that dream and stuff where he only, like, it's where it's people just like him who don't get the, like, picture people drawn. And I like this part because it kind of shows his own little world, and it made him forget about everything and his differences and just, like, let him kind of be him in his own little, like, dream.
Yeah, I like that too because I know that we talked about this a couple discussions ago, like how it helps him to relate to other people because we dream about, our normal daily lives with, like, people similar to us in it, and I think that like, connects him to us by, dreaming about his daily life just a little bit different and his ideal situations. It's really interesting, though, to see that his ideal situation would be with barely anyone else left in the world.
Right.
Yeah.
It comes right out and says
Yeah,
that
that would
his
scare
dream
me.
situation is where everyone else on the earth is dead.
Yeah.
But I don't think he means anything bad by that.
Right.
Yeah, he feels like he can relate to other people then. He's kind of normal almost.
Right, well, it's
Yeah.
just, I think it's kind of interesting how he's just so blunt and doesn't, he doesn't mean anything bad by it, but he's talking about his dreams, and at the one point he says, I liked the second version better because in this one the dead bodies weren't all over.
Yeah.
It's like-
Yeah, his thought process.
And, like, where he's like, and I can go anywhere in the world, and I know that no one is going to talk to me or touch me or ask me a question. Like,
Yeah.
it makes him, like, reassuring, like, I can be myself, kind of, rather than, like,
Yeah.
hey, I have a Swiss Army knife.
That's
Yeah.
almost sad that, like, that's what his ideal life is. Like, it almost makes you realize how stressed out he must be on a daily basis, like, walking around, like, what if someone talks to me, what if someone touches me? That's actually sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so my thinking notes. One on page 183, and this is a wow. And this was when the guy just saved him from the train, and it was just like, I can't believe that he just pulled his knife out and, like, said, I'm gonna stab you, like, if you touch me again. And the guy just saved his life. It's not even a thank you.
Yeah.
He just doesn't understand that
Right.
he's doing this to help him. He's not doing this to
Yeah.
try to hurt him at all.
But at the same time, like, I get the man did nothing wrong, but in Christopher's mind, he grabbed him, and now the man's just yelling at him for, jumping onto the tracks. And so the guy grabbed him and now he's yelling at him, and I can see in his mind how that's just, it's a threat.
Yeah.
And with that too, he's like, yeah, my shoulder really hurt when he grabbed me and stuff. And like, although like he might have saved him, he forgot about that because he touched him.
Mhm. Yeah, that's what I was. Does it like? I wonder what it feels like to him. You know, does it physically harm him? Like, what does it do? Does it make his brain race? You know, like when someone touches him. It's, I don't know. It's interesting. I like learning about that stuff.
And like how we don't think about that every day, because in the hallway you always just like accidentally
Yeah.
bump into somebody.
Yeah.
Where this
Right.
is like,
Well,
if you bump into someone, he's gonna pull his knife on you.
Well, the thing is he in the beginning of the book said that there are so many different things that people can mean by just like touching you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he just doesn't understand. It can be an accident. It can be meaning to hurt you, comfort you, all sorts of different things, and he just doesn't understand.
Yeah.
And then like how they have to like hug like that and stuff. Like
Yeah.
they can't.
They can't like physically hug because you never know. He
Yeah.
doesn't know if he's just trying to strangle that
Right.
him or just comfort him with a hug.
Right.
Or, and all the different stuff that he just
Yeah.
doesn't understand.
And it's weird too how he gets used to other people. You know, like he got used to his parents and stuff, and he can talk normally and be comfortable with them. But he's still not used to like when his mom hugged him after seeing him for a while. He still and his dad like when they weren't, you know, at crossroads, like they still couldn't like touch him. You'd think that he'd get used to at least as family members.
Yeah, that kind of was leading into my second one because I was surprised that he wouldn't let his mom hug him, even though he thought she was dead.
Yeah.
And she thought something happened to him because he wasn't returning any letters, he wasn't calling or anything.
Well,
Right.
Even because when she first tried to hug him, she didn't say like what she was doing, but then when later in the book when he's in the house, she asks him, "Can I hold your hand?" And he says no.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just like, no, I don't like people touching me.
Like it's
And
not like
that's
she
it.
was gonna surprise him with it. She asked and she was
Yeah.
just sitting there, but no.
I like that part though because she remembered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And didn't press him. I thought it was interesting that his mom seemed to have a lot more patience for him than was described in earlier parts, because it
Yeah.
talks about
Mhm.
how like anytime he would scream or anything, she'd just lose his patience. And then when he was with her in London and they went to the store and he laid down and started screaming, she didn't like flip out on him or anything. She just took him home and made him, I think, a smoothie.
Yeah. I think too, you know how that's kind of like you get in a really big argument and it all builds up and you can't handle it, but then you're away from each other for a little while and you get back and you're not really quite as mad about it. I think
Yeah.
that's kind of how it was. Like she just had built up dealing with him for so many years and she already was not good at handling it, and then she had like a break away from him. And I think she knew that it was important too, like he needed her. He couldn't be with the dad. Like it was really important that she handle it the best she could.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Alright, well, my thinking note is on page 196, and it is a I agree one. And it's where the mom and the dad are arguing, and the dad says, I wrote to him every week, and the dad says that he was doing all the work, and all the mom did was write to him, and that's so not fair that now she just gets to take him and have custody. And
Yeah.
What did you guys think about that?
I thought I agree that like it was not fair of the mother to do that, you know, but I don't know, it's hard because you know that she wants to have a relationship with him, but it's almost like she's thinking about what's best for him, because you can kind of tell that she's not being selfish, like she thinks that's what's best for him, but it's hard too because the dad was doing everything, like he was doing all the work, but I think he just kind of didn't understand that Christopher was so upset with him, and this time it really was the father's fault. Like he had done something wrong, and you know he needed to be with the mother. But I don't think full custody was like justified for her to have because he was clearly a better caregiver.
Well, I mean, if you look at it this way, though, the father told Christopher that his mother was dead, so like that kind of plays a role in things, that the mother can't do anything because Christopher believes that she's dead.
Right.
So the father pretty much has to do everything.
So that was kind of the father's
And-
fault too then.
yeah.
The other thing